In Iran, the mourning activities in honor of the recently dead President Ebrahim Raisi continue as preparations are being made for his burial. In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces withdrew from Jenin after besieging the West Bank city for 48 hours and killing 12 people. And in Ecuador, President Noboa decreed a new state of emergency in 7 provinces and 1 canton of the country. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Belén de los Santos, and from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba, we begin with the news. The mourning activities in honor of the recently dead Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi continue in Iran as preparations are being made for his burial. In this regard, thousands of people gathered to pay homage to Raisi in a procession in the city of Birjand. According to the funeral schedule, the president's body will arrive on Thursday in Mashhad, town and burial place. After Ebrahim Raisi's death was confirmed, hundreds of mourners gathered in the streets of Iran carrying pictures of Raisi, black flags and sheet symbols to pay homage and bid farewell to the leader. Representatives of more than 50 international delegations attended the funeral of Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi, Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian, and his officials. The funeral ceremonies in honor of President Raisi were held on Wednesday at Tehran University and Azadi Square in the Iranian capital, headed by Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Attendees included heads of state, ministers, parliamentarians, and special envoys from Pakistan, Iraq, Japan, Syria, Russia, among other countries. Venezuelan Foreign Minister Iván Gil attended the funeral of President Ebrahim Raisi, Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian, and the members of the entourage who died on Sunday, May 19th, in a helicopter accident. On the social network X, the head of the Venezuelan diplomacy said he was attending the state funeral on behalf of President Nicolás Maduro and the Venezuelan people. He pointed out that both are honoring the life and legacy of an outstanding global leader and defender of an anti-imperialist people. He added that Venezuela reiterated its commitment to friendship and solidarity with Iran, remaining a faithful and constant ally. The state funeral, attended by heads of state, foreign ministers, and political representatives from different parts of the world, is headed by Mohammad Mokber, who was the first vice president in the Raisi cabinet and now is acting president. In this context, the Venezuelan Foreign Minister Iván Gil gave an exclusive interview to Iranian Ispan TV media. Gil highlighted the country's ties with Iran and described their mutual cooperation of the last 2 decades as historic, while reiterating its long-term vision for relations with the Islamic nation. During the interview, the Foreign Affairs Minister further lamented the death of President Ebrahim Raisi, the Iranian Foreign Minister, and comrades.
Iran
and Venezuela have had an extraordinary history of mutual collaboration. In the last 25 years and in recent times, when Venezuela has been target of criminal sanctions, of unilateral coercive measures applied by the same imperialism that has applied them to Iran and that has wanted to do so much damage to our people, one of the first countries that came forward, one of the first governments that stepped forward to offer its support and collaboration was precisely the government of President Raisi. We have a unity really built on a very solid base that allows us to go beyond speeches, beyond common positions, to international scenarios in multilateral forums. It also allows us to give security to our people.
In this context, Iván Gil also pointed out the importance of solidarity between the two nations, which covers key issues such as food and energy supply.
Venezuela
counts on Iran. Iran counts on Venezuela in all these matters: food supply, energy supply, science and technology. That is to say, we have the need to create this new collaboration. We have proven it. We have a model relationship, a relationship that goes beyond the traditional conventional diplomatic relations. We are able precisely to overcome hard times in some of the countries to stand up for each other.
Now let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces withdrew from Jenin after besieging the West Bank city for 48 hours and killing 12 people, including 4 minors. According to the director of the Al-Razi hospital, Fawad Hamad, a 30-year-old Palestinian died early this morning from his wounds, and among the dead are 4 teenagers between the ages of 15 and 16. The Israeli military operation ended almost 48 hours after it began on Tuesday morning, when snipers were deployed on rooftops and military jeeps and bulldozers destroyed streets and houses in the city. During the siege, soldiers shot at journalists, wounding one of them with bullet fragments. Since October 7th, the Israeli army intensified its already frequent incursions into the occupied West Bank, having killed 518 Palestinians since then in the region alone. Meanwhile, intense Israeli bombardments in the Gaza Strip have claimed the lives of dozens of civilians, while the occupation army advances with its land operation in the neighborhoods of Rafah. Wafa news agency reported that 8 people were killed, most of them children and women, while several others were seriously injured after the Israeli attack on a house in Nusrat camp in the center of the Palestinian enclave. On the other hand, 16 people were also martyred, among them 10 children, after the bombing of a house in the Al-Darash neighborhood in the center of Gaza City. In parallel, the Zionist army advanced with its ground operation in Rafah neighborhoods, while the UNRWA agency announced the suspension of food deliveries in the locality due to insecurity. In Palestine, the Israeli occupation army has reportedly committed 6 massacres against families in the Gaza Strip during the last 24 hours, resulting in more than 60 civilians dead. According to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, around 138 people were wounded and sent to the hospital for treatment. The health entity indicated that they still do not have an exact number of dead and wounded, since there are still victims under the rubble in places of difficult access. The authorities also informed that the death toll from the Israeli genocide is now more than 35,709 and around 80,000 wounded since October 7th. Meanwhile, Iraq received at the Baghdad International Airport the first group of 27 wounded Palestinians from Gaza to be treated and receive medical attention. Authorities reported that this is the first group to arrive, and it includes a number of children, women, and elderly people with their 42 companions. Upon arrival, Iraqi Health Ministry ambulances transported the wounded and their families to the medical city of Baghdad, where they will receive treatment. The Iraqi initiative to provide assistance to the wounded in Gaza comes amidst the total deterioration of the healthcare system in the Palestinian enclave as a result of the ongoing Israeli aggression.
An Iraqi military plane landed carrying 27 wounded Palestinians specifically from the Gaza Strip, and according to the directives of the Iraqi government and the Iraqi Ministry of Health, all necessary health requirements, whether therapeutic or rehabilitative care, must be provided through the Ministry of Health Institutions, which has completed its preparations to that effect.
Now we move on to other topics. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak called for a snap election for July 4th, assuring that the British could choose their future with this vote. The statement was made outside Downing Street Gate on Wednesday as his Conservative Party faces an uphill struggle to extend its 14 years in power. Sunak also stressed that he will fight for every vote and will demonstrate that only a libertarian government under his leadership will maintain the country's economic stability. The Prime Minister had been required to hold an election by January 2025 and had long resisted calls to be specific about his plans. However, a fall in inflation rate seems to have provided the backdrop for his announcement. South Africans go to the polls on May 29th to vote in national and provincial elections. According to the Electoral Commission, a total of 27.9 million people are registered to vote. The nation will have the opportunity to choose the leaders of the country's 7th government among the 14,903 candidates of 70 political parties and the 11 independents who are running for seats in the legislative assemblies. In this context, and according to opinions from polls, the African National Congress, the ANC, the party in power since the first democratic elections in 1994, could for the first time lose its absolute majority in parliament and be forced to form a coalition government.
It's hard convincing them, honestly. You know, when they made up their mind, it's very hard. But I've been telling them because we need changes, we need all of that. For us to get some of those, we need to vote. If you're not voting, how will they know? We need all of those things.
People are really scared that whether or not they vote, things will still get worse. I think there is that fear, but I think it's really important to try and not give in to that fear. To try and be an active citizen, try and vote, try and see who can actually help, or what choices can I make in my personal capacity to help my country.
Now we have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and also share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Ecuador, in the midst of the wave of armed violence that is shaking the country, President Noboa decreed a new state of emergency in 7 provinces and 1 canton of the country. The measure will be applied for a period of 60 days in the provinces of Los Ríos, Guayas, Santa Elena, Manabí, El Oro, Sucumbíos, Orellana, and the canton Camilo Ponce Enríquez of the province of Azuay. According to the Executive Decree 275, which establishes the measure, the inviolability of domicile and correspondence in the aforementioned entities is suspended. The President made a statement on the matter and said that with the new state of exception, the second phase of the fight against terrorism in the country begins, and to win it, military intervention is necessary.
To win in the second stage of the war, we need the military to be allowed to act. That the criminals and terrorists who take cover and mock the forces of order and justice, in their right to the inviolability of the home, know that they will lose it.
The governments of Venezuela and China signed a cooperation agreement to strengthen trade, investment, and strategic development. The Executive Vice President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, and the representatives for international trade of the People's Republic of China, Wang Zhouwen, signed in Caracas the agreement to strengthen bilateral relations and consolidate mutual benefits. The representatives emphasized that commercial exchanges will be consolidated through the exchange of Chinese goods for Venezuelan coffee. After the meeting, Rodriguez stressed that Venezuela will always be an ally of China because it respects international law and the growth of peoples. She also emphasized her country's intention to join the BRICS group within this year.
'To win in the second stage of the war, we need the military to be allowed to act. That the criminals and terrorists who take cover and mock the forces of order and justice, in their right to the inviolability of the home, know that they will lose it.
'To win in the second stage of the war, we need the military to be allowed to act. That the criminals and terrorists who take cover and mock the forces of order and justice, in their right to the inviolability of the home, know that they will lose it. 'To win in the second stage of the war, we need the military to be allowed to act. That the criminals and terrorists who take cover and mock the forces of order and justice, in their right to the inviolability of the home, know that they will lose it. 'To win in the second stage of the war, we need the military to be allowed to act. That the criminals and terrorists who take cover and mock the forces of order and justice, in their right to the inviolability of the home, know that they will lose it. 'To win in the second stage of
Así que este es el futuro de las relaciones.
So this is a future of relations, a giant that is also part of the BRICS. Venezuela is expecting to formally join the BRICS group this year because it is a route to the new world, to a world without hegemony, to a world that respects international law, where international trade and economic cooperation has new visions, new trade channels, new financial channels, which is very important. Why? Well, our economies are either blocked or threatened by hegemonic positions and the construction of this new world, of these new international financial and trade networks, like the Silk Road, will allow us to strengthen all the common paths of our peoples based on sovereign respect between states.
In other news, in Peru, President Dina Boluarte filed a lawsuit before the Constitutional Court against the judiciary and the Public Prosecutor's Office, accusing them of allegedly undermining the exercise of their functions and competencies. According to local media, the president argued that there was an alleged interference by both institutions of justice in her functions as President of the Republic of Peru. Likewise, the head of state appointed that the Prime Minister Gustavo Adrianzen to present the lawsuit and represent her during the process. Boluarte's decision comes in response to a new investigation announced by the Public Prosecutor's Office regarding the Rolex Gate case, which investigates Boluarte for the alleged crime of illicit enrichment after the purchase of luxury watches. On Wednesday at the El Seoul Summit, co-hosted with the United Kingdom, will come to an end after debating on concerning issues regarding artificial intelligence and signing an agreement among participants. Let's see further details.
The meeting is a follow-up to November's AI Safety Summit at Bletchley Park in the UK, aimed at discussing issues such as job security, copyright and inequality. In that regard, ministers expressed their views and shared their proposals.
The ministerial session held today will seek more specific and practical measures based on the vision presented in the Seoul Declaration, and will especially focus on ensuring artificial intelligence safety and sustainable AI development.
We have a joint mission to grip the risk so that we can together seize the incredible opportunities across our public services, our businesses and our societies at large. However, my message today is that we should not rest on our laurels. As the pace of AI development accelerates, we must match that speed with our own efforts and action if we are to grip the risks and seize the opportunities. It is our responsibility to ensure that human wisdom keeps pace with human knowledge as we navigate the most complex technology humanity has ever produced.
On Tuesday, over 12 tech companies signed a voluntary agreement to enhance artificial intelligence safety, including Alphabet's Google, Microsoft, Xiaomi, Amazon, Samsung Electronics, among others. They agreed on using methods as watermarking to identify AI-generated content, as well as grant job creation and support socially vulnerable groups. The PM of South Korea gave the opening remarks on the subject.
The Republic of Korea is fully committed to contributing to the development of safe, innovative, and inclusive AI technologies for the benefit of its citizens and the global community. AI safety cannot be truly achieved until those who are the most vulnerable have access to necessary means to respond to threats and challenges posed by this new technology.
The Artificial Intelligence Seoul Summit will come to an end on Wednesday, after engaging leaders and chief executive officers of companies in talks on AI safety and inclusive AI policies, among other pivotal issues. The next encounter will be held in France in 2025.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories at our website at telesurenglish.net. And also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and also on TikTok. For TeleSUR English, my name is Belén de los Santos. Thank you for watching.